Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome, welcome. So let's start with the content. Everybody ready? Queridos, todos bien. Let's pay respect. Good, good. Qué bueno. Let's pay respect to remembering all our teachers, starting from our parents, with great appreciation. They taught us to be alive and to take care of ourselves. Remember all our teachers with great appreciation, and the teacher of all our teachers, the Buddha. Homage to the sublime, to the victorious over the negativity of the mind, over the negativity of the world, the totally self-enlightened one. Together in Pali. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhasam. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhasam. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhasam. Iti piso bhagava araham sama sambuddho vichacharana sampano sukato lokavidu anutaro purisa dhamma sarati satta deva manusanam buddho bhagavati. Sadhu, 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 the knower of the worlds, the one endowed with full wisdom and good conduct, the Buddha. Thank you to all our teachers. Thank you, everybody. Let's start the journey today. Let's see how far we get in exploring nature. We continue exploring the nature of matter.
Yes, welcome everybody. Today we are going to continue with another type of classification of matter, as we have seen last week. And before we start, we will do a really quick revision of what we have seen last week about the characteristics of all matter. And then we had one question, and we'll answer the question, and then we will go to today's content.
Yes.
Okay. So last week we have seen some kind of other qualities or other, you can say, characteristics of all rupas that are common to all rupas, that the Buddha gives more details in order for us to differentiate from what is matter, what is mind, to make sure we know what is what. And also the main purpose is to discard wrong view. So the first characteristic that we have seen is that rupa, they are ahetuka, they are without roots.
They have so no root.
Roots only pertain to the mind. No?
You remember the 6 roots: loba, dosa, moha, aloba, dosa, moha. Rupa is no mind, so has not these roots. It's just generated by what we know, temperature, etc., etc.
Yes. So, the first one is that it is a hetuka, and then the next characteristic is called sapachaya. That means it is with conditions. So that means there are causes that cause them to arise. So it is not.
It is conditioned. Matter is conditioned. It doesn't arise spontaneously.
So it does not arise, just appeared without any cause. No? So it is with conditions, with cause. Then the next one is sasawa. That means asawa is in English translate into taints. Actually, it means like the defilements.
Impurities
of the mind.
Yes, so, of the mind. Yeah.
It is called sasawa is the object of rupas are the object of asawa. That means that the clinging, ditthi, loba, ditthi, and moha can take rupa as its object.
Yes, we can get attached to our own bodies, or to a thing, or to the body of somebody else, etc., etc.
Any kind of matter can be an object.
Is liable to be an object of defilement.
Yes, okay. So more details later, you can refer to the video of last week, then if you need more information or revision. Okay, then sankata, it is conditioned. So again, I will come to here later. Okay, Then we have another one which is called Lokiya, mundane. That means that for rupas, it's always mundane. For chitta, there are Lokiya chittas, mundane chittas, and there are Lokutara chittas. There are supramundane chittas, no? Like Maga and Phala, they are... Yeah, so they are enlightened chittas, but for rupa, it's always mundane. There is nothing super mundane about rupa.
There is nothing sublime about rupa. It is world. It is from the world, stays in the world, happen in the world. And as we know, when our mind gets very refined, and in case we arrive to formless states like Brahmins or something like that, rupa is even so is not present there. So it's quite its course is quite condensed in the lower part of the of the realms.
In short, mind can get enlightened and matter cannot get enlightened.
Yes, that is
mundane. Okay.
The body in this case will be only our vehicle to. Yeah. It will help us to study. It will help us to speak. It will help us to ask questions, to see the teachings, and to practice itself. We practice meditation as we just did, using the body as a tool for the mind to anchor. It will be our tool, but the body will not get enlightened. It will just, the body of an enlightened being, it will die and decompose and smell as any other body of an animal or an ignorant person. It doesn't really matter the mental state. The matter will do exactly the same.
Yes, okay. Then matters are also kama vachara, sense sphere. And here we have to be careful. The sense sphere, it means that it is object of sense sphere. So it belongs to sense sphere because it is object of, as we have seen, of defilements of clinging, which are sense of the senses, of sense desire. So it is kamavachara. Even if this matter arises in rupavachara, it is still called kamavachara because it is object of craving.
Object of craving, and also in a more practical way, matter is perceived by the senses directly. Without senses, we couldn't perceive the sound or the light or the shape, etc., color, etc., etc. It's totally sensual. It is perceived by the senses.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
In the realm of senses, as we know, kamavachara.
Even in rupavachara, no? The fine
more
material
fine.
Also the same.
Yes.
So then, and another characteristic, it is anaramana. That means that matter itself, it is object itself, so it does not take object. It itself is object. So
mind is the one who takes the object, and can be matter or mind itself, but body, matter has no ability to hold anything.
Yes, so
as a cognitive object.
Yeah, matter itself does not perceive, or it does not
cognize, think,
it's not able to do that. So
we are connected with our body, and the mind uses the matter in order to do its function, even as we know for the physical base, Hadaya Watu, or sometimes in modern science, we know that when the mind is active, the parts of the brain are also active. They interrelate, but it is used by the mind. Matter itself will not, a dead person obviously has no cognition of any kind. Just the matter is there.
Okay, so another characteristic is matter cannot be abandoned, pahatava. So we mentioned last week already, then this is to clear all kinds of ideas, that because in the times of the Buddha, some kind of people, they practice the self-mortification. They think that if they abandon the body, then they can purify the mind, no? So, but the Buddha clearly explained that defilements are to be abandoned. The body or rupa is not to be abandoned. Yeah. So anyway, this is what we have seen last week, and we received a question from Carol about...
Doña Caro.
Yes, sorry, one more thing before here. Yes, so all this more information on rupa that the Buddha gave is for the dispel of wrong view, so that we are more clear about what rupa really is. And the question of Carol is about sapachaya and sankata. So both is with conditioned and it is conditioned. So she said, what is the difference? So it's a very good question. Actually, I also thought about it. And the answer is basically they're the same. But just that the focus is a little bit different. Now we will see, we will look at it. The Buddha sometimes, he explained the same thing with different words. So that there is no doubt at all, because some people they may get the idea with this word, and some people are more clear if you say it in this way or if you say it in that way. So it is actually the same thing, but then the Buddha explained in different angles, different aspects, so there is no doubt at all that what it is. No, okay. So here. It looks like basically the same, no? Sapachaya with conditions, Sankata conditioned.
As in the same way that when we are talking to somebody, we may find ourselves trying to explain something. We say something and then we start giving synonyms of that word. So it becomes from different aspects and making it clearer and clearer. To add that very often in the scriptures, we can see that the Buddha often repeated the same word. Like, for example, it is red, red, as we will say sometimes. Estaba rojo, pero rojo, 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 ¿cierto? So the Buddha will sometimes do that in order, especially in moments where he felt it was an important point to be stressed or to be clarified. So often you might find that the same word repeated or having some different synonyms or different ways of explaining. And also, let's remember that the Buddha taught many people, and depending on their style of thinking and their ability, he explained the same thing in many different ways.
Yes, that we will find more in sutta, because it is for people, no? So for different kinds of people. And in Abhidhamma, we find less these things that just is very precise, which word means what, it's very precise. And here also there is a slight difference in the emphasis about these two words, and we're going to look at it.
Yes.
But basically, to understand, it's just the same. That means that they have cause, don't they have cause? Okay, so in chapter 7, actually in chapter 7 is very interesting, the coming chapter. We will see a lot of words that the Buddha used in the suttas, and then they are grouped in different ways, in different groups, but sometimes they talk about the same thing. Like kilesas is one word that we all know, no? We have talked about this so many times. That means defilements. So there is a list of what is meant by defilement. Then it is also called asawa, we just saw, no? Asawa is taints. Then it's called oga. Then it is called sempa. So there are different
oga is flood, something that floods the mind. He said there are impurities, loba dosa loba dosa, for example. They are taints, like manchas, dirty the mind, loba dosa moha. They are floods, loba dosa moha, because they flood the mind. Whenever they arise, they take away everything. They destroy whatever goodness inside and flood the mind. So he described the same thing in different ways. And my dear family, as an announcement, chapter 7 is very beautiful. In terms of beauty, you will see, and very practical, because the Buddha, once we know what is mind, what is matter, we start seeing how in his teaching for our practical benefit, why he spoke about the taints and the defilements, or the beauty, the factors of enlightenment are mentioned, the factors of the jhana. So all the teaching starts becoming classified in different. It is a very inspiring, very, very beautiful. I really, I'm looking forward that we arrive there. It is very full of information, that most of it is totally connected to our direct practice for purifying the mind. Very nice chapter.
Yes, soon we will be there. We
very nice chapters. Chapter 7.
Yes, so chapter 7, those terms that we will find a lot in the suttas. So it will be very helpful to understand suttas as well. Then when the Buddha says taints, what exactly he means in ultimate reality. Because when we look at suttas, things are not explained so clearly, immediately in the sutta. So we have to kind of decode them with the Abhidhamma knowledge. So with these words okay, if the Buddha said this, he wants to mean this, and this. Then in this way, we understand another layer of the sutta.
Imagine that chapter 7 is the Rosetta Stone, the translation guide for the suttas. You will have all the list of all the things that the Buddha spoke in the suttas, every single thing as elements. It will not be teaching how the Buddha taught it, but it will be also our translation, our Rosetta Stone, in order to go to the suttas, and everything is already explained. In terms of beauty and inspiration, from the 9 chapters that we will study for Abhidhamma, I think it is chapter 7. All the other ones are very informative. They are very amazing, like, wow, this nature works like that. Very physical, like this one, and practical. But that one, in terms of beauty and inspiration, you will see. Very, very nice chapter coming.
Okay. So anyway, let's go to Sapachaya and Sankata. So Sapachaya in English is translated with conditions, and Sankata conditioned it. So in this cases, when we have a little bit want to know a little bit more what it wants to say, then it is very good always to go to the Pali word. And so as some of you are studying Pali now, so I would introduce a little bit about these words because you will understand. So Sapachaya is Sa plus Pachaya. So Sa means with, together with something, Pachaya means the condition. So conditioned here means something on which something else is dependent. So it's the cause. So something else depends on this thing. So this thing is called a conditioned. An effect depends on that cause, something else. So cause and effect. So condition is a condition or cause or for something else, which something else depend on. Yes, okay, until here, okay?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So in this case, with conditioned, so we can understand Sapachaya to mean there are things that conditioned matter, or there are things which matter depend on.
The same thing?
Same thing, no?
From both sides, from both aspects, coming from the cause or looking back from the effect. Okay, so until here, this is Sapachaya. There are things that conditioned matter. So Sapachaya, there are things that condition matter with condition, no? So there are things which matter depend on, which is the same, no? Okay, so now let's look at Sankata. Sankata is a little bit grammar, is a past participle of the verb sankaroti. So here we're not going to details. Anyway, you know that it is past participle, past tense. So sankata, some actually is some, is the prefix some. And karoti comes from the word kar. So some means together, and kar here kata past participle, so it's made or put. So put together or made together. So, done together. So in this case, then we can understand it's like something that is put together. Sankata means something that is put together, or it means something that is produced by a combination of causes and conditions. Again, something that is produced by the combination of causes and conditions. That means an effect. It has causes, hence we are looking at the effect, the thing that is Sankata, and it has causes and conditions for it to be present. Our body, for example, it needs a lot of conditions to be alive. If we can say is Sankata, is conditioned on the food, on the weather, on our age, on our environment, etc., etc. Our body is Sankata. Everything is Sankata. Everything is Sankata except Nibbana, and we will go to this point in a little while. So Asankata is another term for Nibbana. We will see, if you see the word Asankata, you can understand it as Nibbana, nothing else. And whenever we have a question, what is Nibbana? By looking at the etymology of the word Asankata, it is saying it's something that is not put together. It's something that is not conditioned on anything. That's why very often Nibbana is translated as the unconditioned, the freedom from the yoke, the freedom from the prison of conditionality, arising and passing away, arising and passing away, rising and passing away, born, dying, sickness, old age, etc. That process is freed from all these causes and conditions always coming up. But what meaning talking about the conditionality, to be free from the conditionality in the world, and Nibbana, which has none of these conditions. There is no arising and passing away. There is no cause. There is no effect. Hence, the body is the mind. It's totally experiencing the asankata, the non-created, the non-conditioned.
Okay, so or we can also understand it as with the car root part, so created or brought about as effect of causes and conditions. Yes, so whichever way we understand, so with these words together, made, so like so it is meaning that the thing, no, the effect, something that are being put together, something that are produced by a combination of causes, or is created or brought about by conditions, no, by causes and conditions. Now I have more examples.
Yeah, okay, just bring the five aggregates and you will see, of course, everything is just conglomerated. It is something that is come together because of previous causes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, so now in a graphical way, it will also be easier to understand. So sapachaya with conditions. So we all know that to have some effects, then we need some causes. Yes. So sapachaya with conditions, there are things which matter depend on. So a little bit more emphasis on the causes. The cause. No? So it is with causes. Now, if we look at sankata conditioned, that means something which is produced by a combination of cause. So it's a little bit more emphasis on the product, no, on the thing, on the effect itself. So basically, they talk about the same thing, that there are causes and effect. But the little bit nuance and emphasize, it's a little bit more sapachaya with there are conditions, and sankata, it is being conditioned. So in different aspects, and the Buddha said the same thing.
Very subtle, and the Buddha was extremely skillful in using the precise nuance. Or he's talking about the same thing, but he was very precise to use. Sometimes use this one and sometimes use that one, depending on the emphasis or focus. Either you see this glass from here to here, or from here to here. It's looking at the same glass, and it is. We can say synonym, but once we get into detail, it's a little bit more specialized, we can say.
So some people understand more in the side of the cause, some people understand more in the side of the effect, let's say so, but it's the same thing, yes? So specifically in this case, we're talking about rupa, so we will change it into, the rupa has causes, which is kama, chitta, ahara, and
food,
and udu, no? So
weather.
kama, mind, nutriment, and
temperature
of these causes, and also other conditions, which in chapter 8 in the Patana 24 conditions, we will also see some other conditions not directly produced. These are direct direct causes that produce matter, but some other conditions that support also later on we will see. Okay, so until here, is that okay?
Everybody okay?
Yes.
Good question, Caro. Very nice.
Yes.
We learned a lot with it. Thank you so much.
Yes, so we encourage everybody, if you have some, whatever kind of questions or comments or something, then send us a message or ask during class. But if you send us a message, so we can prepare something like this also, so it's also good. So anyway, anytime feel free to send any questions and doubts. Okay, so now we're finished with the questions, and then we'll come back to the classification of matter, which is the second part of the classification which we're going to look at today. Last week, we looked at matter as a whole. No? So those sankata, sapachaya, ahetuka, and all these terms refer to matter as a whole. So all kinds of matters have all these characteristics. Now, the second part, what we are going to look at today is within matters, they have differences. Okay, so within the 28 matters, now we classify within the 28 matters. We separate them into different groups with a little bit more details. Now, we have already actually did one previously, Nibbana Rupa and Anibbana Rupa, no? Concretely produced matter, 18 kinds, non-concretely produced matter, 10 kinds. So this we have already know, meaning that these 18 kinds, they have the four causes, 4 kinds of causes we just saw now. They are produced by the 4 kinds of causes, and these ones, they are just the characteristics of these rupas.
18.
So they are not really produced directly by the causes.
There are characteristics of the Rupa
special
Rupa.
modes.
Special modes of the matter, which is this one that we can touch.
Okay, so that's concretely produced matter and a non-concretely produced matter. About this division, it is important to know that only concrete matter, only these 18 types are Vipassana meditation object. So when we meditate, we cannot take the space between the element, or for Vipassana.
As a real object, cannot. As a concept, we can take the.
But that's therefore it is not Vipassana.
Yeah, that's why not Vipassana. True.
Yes. So then, so we cannot take some words, or we cannot take the lightness, softness of matter to contemplate as
object.
As object for Vipassana. So only these 8. When we talk about a Vipassana object, mind and matter, only these 18 kinds are meant.
Yes.
Okay, so now let's go to another classification. Okay, so here it's quite easy actually, because it's very straightforward. So we'll see these 5 Pasada Rupa. You will see again and again it is being separated out because it is something special, no? So this sensitive matter, it is also called Ajatika, internal, and all the other ones are called Bahira, external matter. So why is that so? This internal does not only mean that it is inside our body, because all these also are inside the body, no? So internal and external, actually, it means that they are very beneficial to us. So imagine these 5 senses. If there is no these 5 senses, some teachers say that if a human is without these 5 senses, then it is not very much different than a piece of rock. We cannot see, we cannot smell, we cannot taste. So that's why these 5 senses are very important and very beneficial for human beings. So therefore, this 5 is called internal. Sometimes the teachers explain that when someone is very good to you, like a very, very special friend, or their father, your mother, you call them like our people, no? Like internal, you are with us, internal people, not external people, no? So in this case, in the same way, he is in us, with us, internal. So in the same sense that this 5 is mentioned as Ajatika, internal Rupa, and all the other ones, which is also beneficial, of course, but not as special as this 5. So they are called external.
The others are beneficial because they are present and they give mass to our body, let's say. They give matter, they give substance to our body. But the other ones are the ones we experience live. Life happens actually in our consciousnesses, as we know, because of these 5 interactions with the world. We see the world, we hear, we smell, we taste, and we feel the world. So it's dearest, and it's very special also in terms of practice, is when the Buddha says we must take control of, not control of the senses, but take care of the senses, purify the senses. It is very important eventually for the development of our minds.
Yes. Okay. So let's. So in this case, this 5 is called internal, and the others called external, because they are very beneficial to us. Okay. So another category. Now one more added to this group of 5, and they are called Vatu Rupa. Then all the other ones are called in English, base matter, and all the other ones are called Vatu Rupa, non-base matter.
Non-base matter.
Non-base matter. So this we can very easily understand, because Pasada Rupa, Chaku Pasada, is the base for eye consciousness to arise, no? So ear for ear consciousness, and then all the mind, all the other ones other than the 5 sense chitta are based on Hadaya Vatu, no?
The base of the
heart, so heart base. So therefore, these matters, they are also special and different from others in this way, classified as Vatu Rupa and Avatu Rupa. Now, about Hadaya Vatu, all kinds of chitta, except those 5 senses, are based on the heart base. And as we have already seen previously, that not the physical heart, but a material property that is to be found in dependence on the blood inside the heart, are what is called the heart base. And then it is the base for all chittas other than the two groups of the five sense chittas to arise. So this is also important. And why I repeat this here, because recently in one of our Abhidhamma class, Dhamma Sangani, the first book of the Abhidhamma, one of the student asked about this Hadayawatu, and then the teacher, he said recently there is one book that is called The Science of the Heart. And then in this book, I haven't read it yet, actually, but then it is said inside the book that the heart communicates with the brain and the body in 4 ways. So there are scientific findings that the heart also participate in some kinds of
neurological communications.
So such as neurological communication with the nervous system, biochemical communication with the hormones, biophysical communication like the pulse wave, energetic communication with electromagnetic fields. Anyway, so science are finding that the heart also has something to do with the brain and with the whole body, everything.
Actually, recently there was a finding that apparently there are some type of neurons found in the heart. So there is a lot of hype about this, and until now it's still like a boom, and everybody trying to prove that I told you that the mind was the heart and all these things. So let's keep it with a grain of salt. Let's wait until the research is a little bit deeper. But yes, just by this explanation, it makes total sense. Just the ways that in which we measure our hearts, by electromagnetic pulses or by physical movement, it is already, by sound, it is already proven that it has a lot of communications with the nervous system. And let's see where the research takes us, and hopefully this controversy, if the mind lives in the brain or if the mind physically stays on the heart, it gets settled.
It doesn't stay nowhere. It just
it takes us as a base, as a base for arising.
So anyway, the Buddha only mentioned some kind of matter. So as long as we know that it's based on some kind of matter, then ancient masters say that it is located within some blood of the heart, and that's good enough. Anyway, I just wanted to say that there is this book available now. So if you're interested,
Dhamma Sangani teacher recommended this book. He's very lovely. I wish you meet him. Very nice, very nice teacher, very kind. And he recommended this book, and you can find it online. It's on PDF. If someone is interested in going to this line, welcome.
Yes. So okay. So
we just got it last week, so we haven't been able to go through it. But,
yeah. Anyway, so just to let you know that there are some information there. Okay. So the next classification that we will look at is interesting, very interesting. It's called Dwara Rupa. Now, as you can see, the numbers is getting bigger and bigger in the group. So we have 5, now we have 6, now we have 7. So now in this 7 that are classified here, it's the 5 Pasada Rupa again, together with the 2 intimations. And then they are together called Dwara Rupa, door matter.
Door matter type.
And then all the other ones are called Adwara Drupa, non-door matter. And now we will see why and how. Now for the Pasada Rupas, it's very easy to understand why it is door, because we have already learned in chapter 3 that this matter themselves, they are the door for the respective consciousness to arise, no?
Visual consciousness, sound, taste consciousness.
So Pasada Rupa is the door for Chakku Vinyana, eye consciousness to arise, and it's so easy to understand. Now, how about body intimation, Kaya Vinyati and Vaji Vinyati, verbal intimation? Like, why are they doors? So this is interesting because they are considered door Rupa because they are the door for karma to arise.
Oh.
So because of our verbal actions and because of our bodily action, karma arise. So therefore, they are also considered as Dwara Rupa.
We can think of it as the door that, the thing that opens the door for karma to be planted is our physical actions, movement, when we want to communicate with others, and our verb words. Now, the content of it will be changed by our intention. If it is kusala intention, wholesome intention, we know the kind of seed that we planted, etc., etc. So through this communication we have to others, is we are opening the door for karma to be planted in our mental continuum.
Okay, So Dwara Rupa, 7 kinds, 5 Pasada Rupa plus 2 Vinyatis. So these are Dwara Rupas, and all the other ones, they are not doors. So this is another classification. Okay, now let's go to another one. Now become 8. So 8, now so 5 Pasada Rupa now plus
masculinity and femininity.
Gender matter and Jivitindriya, Jivita Rupa, life faculty. They are together called Indriya Rupas. So they are faculties, faculty matters, and then all the other ones are called Anindriya Rupas, non-faculty matters. Faculties, Indriya, actually it means something having authority. So because they exert a controlling power in their respective sphere. So we can understand in this way that I is very important because it has some kind of controlling power in the field of vision. No? Without I, then we cannot see. So in terms of vision, in the field of vision, the eye is it is a faculty for in the field of vision only, no, not in the field of tongue or nose or like that. So they have a speciality in their own region. So we can understand it like a governor of a specific area of the country.
It is the king in the world of visions. Mm-hmm. The eye is the king, mm-hmm. But in the world of smell, eye is useless. It cannot do nothing in the realm of smell or taste. Eye is totally useless. So that's why it's called a faculty on the visual realm. The eye is the king.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So for ear, in the same way, for the field of sound, right. Then ear is the governor. No, let's say so. It is the indriya. It has authority in the hearing. So in the same way, nose and tongue and body, we can understand. Now about gender, rupa, why is it also the governing factor? It is because then it is in the whole body, like how this person is structured, the body is structured, and then the movement and behavior and all these things is governed by this gender matter. So therefore, they are also a kind of indriya rupa. And about jivitindriya, life faculty, it is also governing because it arises together with the rupa. Later we will see what kind of matters arise together and all the time, and what kind of matter arises sometimes not. We're coming to that later. So jivitindriya here is important, and it has some kind of power because it sustained all the other matters that arise together. So it is important. It governs the whole matter that arise together for them to stay alive. So therefore, it is also important. So they are also called indriya rupa. Okay, so indriya rupa are 8 kinds, 5 pasada rupa, 2 gender matter, and jivitindriya. And all the other ones are called non-faculty matter and anindriya rupa. Okay, now let's go to another grouping. So now this time we have 12 of them. 5 pasada rupa together with visible form, sound, smell, taste, and actually touch. Yes.
The tree of touch, remember?
So the objects, the 5 sense matter and its respective objects. No? So these 12 is grouped to call orarika, gross, and the other called sukuma, subtle. Gross in the sense that not it is big or huge, but it is easy to perceive.
Yes. So tangible, very mushy. The other ones are more ethereal. How you say that in English?
Ephemeral.
Ephemeral. It's like ephemeral. How you say ethereal, Don Fer?
It's the same, ethereal. No,
ethereal.
It's pronounced.
Y el otro es concrete.
Yeah.
Yeah, but here, be careful. When we mention the word tangible, it is only these 3 is tangible, no?
Yes.
The combination of these 3 is tangible. All this one is not tangible.
Gross because it's easily perceivable.
Because visible form can be easily seen by the eyes. We know it immediately. And then
Sound.
we know, smell we know, taste we know, and tangibility, of course, we know. So it's easy to perceive by its respective sense. So therefore, they are called gross in this sense, not that they are big or small or like that.
Yes.
Subtle is difficult to be known by the senses. So it cannot be known by the senses. So these ones are only can be known by the mind, not by the senses. So these ones are to be known, can be known by the senses, therefore they're gross. And those ones that can only be known by the mind is called sukuma, subtle, not easy to be perceived by the senses.
How is everybody doing? Everybody going well? Going well? Yes, as you can see, all these groupings the Buddha give in order to be very clear. You see, the same thing. Okay, this is this you can perceive it like this easily perceivable, this not, because he's preparing our the information in the mind that when he gives the teaching for practice, he can explain really clearly. Now, when you meditate, you can take these things that are easy to perceive, the body, the color, the sound. And if we try to perceive, for example, masculinity and femininity in matter, I mean, it would be very difficult, conceptual thing almost. And that's why the Buddha is preparing us with all this.
Not conceptual,
I mean,
it's real matter.
It's real matter, but for example, if we meditate on space or something, we'll be thinking about it more than what we can really perceive. But about a sound or a sight, we don't need to think about it. We can perceive it directly. A touch in the body, the heat on the body, we don't need to think about it. We are really perceiving it because it is cross. So.
Yes, Fernando sent a message. I couldn't open it. I think it said.
A ver, don Fer mandó. Attention. Ethereal, intangible, delicate. Yes, precisely. Thank you, Fer.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, so until here it's okay. And then we will see with this same group of rupa, there is also another names that the Buddha used, which is called santike, near, and dure, far. In the same way, not to understand that it is close to us or far to us, but in the sense that it is easy to perceive. So something that is easy to perceive is near, no?
Near to the mind.
Something that is not easy, not so easy to know, is a little bit far away from us in that sense, not in the sense of physical distance.
Far from the mind, far from perception, or near to the mind, near to perception, easily perceivable.
Yes. Okay, so all these words later, sometimes you can also find in some suttas or in other places, like when the Buddha talk about this kind of matter, that kind of matter, then in those cases, then you already know when the Buddha mentioned near, what he wants to say. So now you know these 12 kinds of matter, exactly. So these are the informations.
This is the Rosetta Stone of the teaching, my dear family. This is the code of reality, the code of the Buddha's teaching.
Yes, now that we are only looking at the classification, it's kind of like, okay, we know.
Later.
Okay. But later when we find somewhere, the Buddha said external or the Buddha said internal.
This is what he was meaning.
He wants to say, and so we can check again. And sometimes, but it is context, not depend on context. Sometimes when the Buddha said in Satipatthana Sutta external, sometimes he really mean external, like
the other person,
or sometimes so not. Exactly, but we depend on context. We can always refer to the Abhidhamma knowledge to know. Our teacher always said that to know the ultimate reality is the key. Like when we read something, for example, in the Paticcasamuppada or the other dependent origination, you find words like tanha, which is same as which means craving, no? So although the word is tanha, what is the ultimate reality of it? Everybody knows now because we have already studied Abhidhamma. The ultimate reality of tanha is nothing but loba cetasika. Or sometimes, depend on context, it can also refer to those 8 kinds of loba mula citta, which is all, of course, associated with loba cetasika. So depend on context, we always try to find out what is the ultimate reality of this. Then there is no doubt of what the Buddha wants to say.
Now, on practical terms, we are having an argument with somebody in life. That person is very selfish. We can have the concept, this person, my brother is very selfish because he did this, and that to me. Or we can just, with the Abhidhamma eyes, we just turn it towards the being and says, Loba is present on that being, on that mind, same as it can happen into me. Loba is present. Immediately, wisdom arises, takes away the ultimate reality of the situation. All the drama is taken away, and the understanding. Of course, a person with Loba acts like this because I know the function, I know the characteristics. There is nothing to blame. I also have this ingredient. Now it is present. What can I do? The whole drama immediately takes away once we start getting the Abhidhamma eyes, looking at reality like X-ray onto reality. You will see how useful all this content will be, because we will be looking at the functioning of the process, not the drama or the story of the process, which is the thing that loses the mind the most. Me dijo, me hizo, I will tell him I will do this, etc., etc. All that is true, because we're looking at essential elements. Loba, dosa, moja, aloba, adosa, moja. Finish. Matter interacting, all part of nature. What can I do? Because the Buddha also gave, as we know, the antidotes of each. So what practice is necessary to be done by me or be suggested for the other person in case there is openness? No drama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes, I will repeat what Sayadaw Tejaniya said, which is really nice. He said, defilements focused on concept. Wisdom focused on reality.
Defilements focus on the concepts. When our mind is defiled, is see conceptual reality. You and me and him and she did me wrong. And wisdom, it is this. Wisdom, see, mental ingredients
arises and
passing away.
Has this conditioned?
It
what
has
is the result of it?
It will go away. It is changing. It will not be forever. No drama. No drama. No suffering. Mm-hmm. For the other ones and for ourselves. Mm. May we all generate the Abhidhamma eye, the wisdom eye.
Will be a very nice pair of glasses to
yes.
always have in the pocket. Or not in the pocket, actually.
Always on. Always on.
Okay, so yeah, don't put it in the pocket, otherwise we can't use it.
Yeah, the pocket don't need wisdom.
Yes. Okay, so let's
continue.
Charana,
very funny, Charana.
Okay, so these 12, again, there is another name. It's called Sappattika, with impingement, and the other ones are called Apattika, non-impingement. That means that those are the sense matter and its object. They come into contact. No?
Fasa, so contact.
They come into contact, so they impinge each other, and the other ones, they don't do that. So it is different groups within the 28 kinds of
touchable, kind of touchable by the respective sense, not just hand, by the eye touch the light object, and the ear touches the sound, or the sound touches the ear, etc.
Okay, now another category, now we're getting bigger and bigger. Yep. It's called 18 types of them are called upadina, and then the other kinds are called anupadina. This upadina is usually translated to clung to, but just only clung to, we cannot understand what does it mean, like how clung to what, no? So actually it is clung to by karma. That means they are produced by karma. They are karma-born, karma-produced matter. So all these kinds here, as we can see, all the 5 pasada rupa, and then we have the 2 gender matter, jivitindriya, heart base, and then the 4 elements. Then we have the objects. So, I mean, not all, but the visible object, smell, taste, nutriment, and space. They can be karma-born rupa, and the other ones, they are not. So, but here we also have to see that it actually purely karma-born is only 9 of them. And then these 9 other kind of 9 means that they can be produced by karma, or they can also be produced by other causes. So next week we are going to look at which cause produce which kind of matter exactly, and then by the time it will be clear. But here main point is that upadina means clung to by karma. That means they are produced by previous karma. So this kind of matter can be produced by previous karma.
Our actions, this is matter that our actions right now, good or bad, will generate this kind of matters. And right now it is happening. Our eye is the fruit. Our eyes right now, their condition and health is based on our previous action, previous karma, either in this life or previous life. the state of our tongue, the state of our sense of smell, etc., is totally directly a fruit of our previous action. Beginning that we are here in the world, starting with it, we became a human. That's why we have access to these senses.
Yes, so these 18 kinds are karma born matter, and so they are called upadina, clung to by karma. And the other kinds, you can see that sound is not produced by karma. Whatever sound it may be, if it's outside sound, let's say this sound, this matter and this matter, they put together, it could be generated by udu, like because they are matter, they're by temperature. Because these outside matters, they make sound. Or if now I'm talking to you, so this sound is generated by mind, by what I'm thinking, and also by the matter which is in the throat, and they hit each other, like the air element and the throat. And so anyway, it is not generated by karma, what I'm saying right now. Rather, I am doing karma right now.
Chitaja sound sound created by the intention of the mind, we can say. It is not just because we're born here and we hear the sounds. She wants to say something. Actually, when we are talking, we are listening to the mind of the other directly. We are listening to the intention of the mind of the other, and it can be charged with content, or it can be charged also with intention. The same word with good intention and loving, and kindness, or the same word with aggression and thing. A lot of information through our sounds. We give a lot of information of our inner world. The mind is talking. When we talk, the mind is talking directly. We are listening to the content of that moment of the mind. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So,
yeah, don't pay it.
Yes.
I thought that sounds were caused by karma. For example, if we hear beautiful sounds or not so beautiful sounds, yes. I thought that those were influenced by previous actions.
Yes.
But as matter. Yeah, go.
Yes, actually, that has to do even material things.
Yeah.
Like, of course, material things like this very nice bell, let's say. So this bell, let's say I have this bell that belongs to me. So it is my good karma that I encounter a nice bell, let's say. But this is not the bell itself. The matter is not generated by my karma.
Yeah.
But how I found it is this by my karma. So this is actually called karma pachaya uduja rupa. So it is conditioned by karma matter that is born by temperature. So they have a relationship, but it is not directly produced by karma.
Oh, I got it.
So, kind of our experience of it. The fact that we have contact with that is based on our karma. We encounter good things or unpleasant things, but the formation in the physical, as a physical matter, it will be udu, and in that sense. Yeah. But yes, our relation to it is based on our karma, that we encounter beautiful sounds or people, etc., That will be on the movement, on the function of it. But its creation as matter will not be dependent on our own karma directly. It is already, actually, when we encounter these things as a good karma, we listen beautiful music, we are encountering it. We are not, our karma is not creating. It's something, it's an object that was born before, and then we just come to happen and have contact with it. That will be our good karma, to be surrounded by a sound, be it beautiful or ugly.
Yes. Therefore, in Pali, it's called karma pachaya. Pachaya, we just saw this word condition, karma pachaya, karma conditioned, udu, temperature, ja, born, rupa. Karma pachaya, udu, ja, rupa. So karma conditioned, temperature born matter.
Nice, no?
Yes. So as you can see, actually, karma born matter.
Again.
Karma pachaya, udu, ja, rupa.
Karma pachaya, udu, ja, rupa.
So as we can
see,
conditioned, temperature born, metta.
Rupa.
Yeah, so any kind of good things that we have or bad things that we encounter also possible in this way. So as you can see, whenever we mentioned karma jarupa, karma produce metta, it can only be things that is internal. I mean, not internal in this way. I mean, inside ourselves, it can only be. Because this is karma born inside of us. Our karma cannot create some kind of metta outside or some kind of metta in another person. That is not possible. Karma only produce things that are here. Our eye, our nose, smell, touch, and all these things, as you can see in this list, everything, these ones can be found in our body.
It's a creation.
Directly created by our karma. And these ones, of course, can be created by something else. So that's why karma and other causes as well. Next week, we will go into details about this.
Yes.
Yeah, but these ones, purely karma. Nothing but karma. No other thing can generate this kind of metta except karma. Okay.
Thank you.
So is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, very important this because I also talked with our
very nice question.
Yes, our teacher, Seattle Okam, because so many times we also said, Seattle, Vipaka, if I have something good, this is also my good Kusala Vipaka.
No, and he said, no.
Yes. So technically speaking, no, but daily general speaking, yes. So it depends on how we have to understand how much details or technical terms we are using.
Yes.
Because Vipaka is only a term for mind. Remember, like
the experience of that pleasant object, yes, comes from our mind. But the creation of that mind, we encounter that object outside. Our karma did not create it. This kind of question, Fer, we have made it to Seattle many times because it takes time to. How? Oh, Seattle, so that means because of my karma. And then Seattle says, no.
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Your karma is experiencing it. Because of your karma, you get in contact to the object. But that object was already created in a factory in China. Your karma had nothing to do. That is only the idea of somebody else. And it is just Utu born Rupa that was somewhere else.
Conditioned in a different
we
way.
have to say, Fer, this question, we have made it repeatedly to Seattle. So we can expect for it in our group to continue popping. So that means it's, no, it is, we start, the mind takes time to, it is very subtle nuance.
Yeah, so I would like to finish also about the Vipaka, because sometimes we can say that, this is also Vipaka, no, it is also resultant. Yes, general terms, and no, technically, because this is Kamaja Rupa and Adhan Rupa. So to be specific, Vipaka is only mind, only those resultant consciousness is called Vipaka. In the technical terms, but in daily terms, even sometimes when we are in the monastery, Sayadaw gave us some fruits or something. Our Kusala Vipaka. This is our good resultant. So, yes, and
Sayadaw says
no,
yes. Okay,
no,
keep
no.
it there.
Yes and no. So yes and no. So technically, Vipaka only resultant consciousness, and then metta thing is karma jarupa if it is internal, inside of us. External good things that we have, whatever it may be, karma supported temperature born metta.
Yes. We have a very loving, another teacher, Ututi Wara, which is Seattle Ututi. He's really loving and he's very generous. So he will come to the monastery. Imagine our teacher is coming and he will come with some mangoes and every time hide the things. He hides the things. So until he's very close to you, until he's very close to you, he just put it in front and says, Kusala Vipaka, Kusala Vipaka, ha ha ha. So very, very beautiful. Of course, in the world, technically, we know that it's more than that, but he always liked to do this very, very loving generosity. He keeps the thing somewhere, and then until you're very close, shows to you, Kusala Vipaka, Kusala Vipaka. When you meet Seattle Ututi, I hope you meet him. I cannot describe the kind of, the degree of kindness that a person can express in their behavior, in their words. It is the humility also from his side is unbelievable. He is the abbot of one of the most important monasteries in Mandalay, and he's respected throughout the country. And when he's leaving the room where you are, he says, "Excuse me, may I go?" He asks, and then if Seattle is saying that, where where do you hide? I mean, sometimes when with that amount of humility, where do you hide? I say, Seattle, if you put at that level, where can I get? I cannot go beyond the floor. I mean,
this is Seattle.
you look at.
Show the photo.
You can see him there. This time, just to let you know, we are in another monastery, and he bring us some offerings because I'm a monk and he wants to support our teaching and our learning. Imagine, he comes to the monastery to offer. He offered that time some cookies, and I think he brought me a robe and something like that. And he comes outside and he don't dare to knock because he thought maybe they are studying, so we don't want to. Imagine the Seattle comes, then when we look out, Seattle, what are you doing? Oh, I come to bring you this thing. Seattle, please come in. I mean, it is you in our social terms. It kind of make no sense that someone can be so open, so generous, and so loving. I wish you meet him. He's in Mandalay in the main monastery, Shrejintai Maji, and you will love him.
He's an elder to Sela Ukam that you met the other day. Maybe you can see a little bit.
Ah, very lovely.
Yeah. Anyway, later, hope one day you'll meet him in Mandalay. Okay, so shall we continue?
Yep.
Yes, so here is technically, in Abhidhamma terms, only karma born rupa is considered upadina, and all other not karma born matter is called anupadina, and not clung to by karma or not karma born.
Sorry, my dear friends, but this photo, you can really see him. You can really see him in his real state. Look at that smile. Amazing. Okay.
Okay, I will repeat this last information. So in Abhidhamma, technically in Abhidhamma terms, only karma born rupa is considered as upadina, and all the other not karma born matter is called anupadina. But sometimes in general terms also, you will see this word upadina, it actually means all kinds of animated matter.
Oh.
And all kinds of inanimated matter is called anupadina, sometimes in general terms, not in Abhidhamma
something that
terms.
we can clang to, you mean?
No, by karma. Well, actually, in Abhidhamma terms, yes, actually, is strictly speaking, only karma born matter and non-karma born matter. Sorry, but here, general terms, maybe here clung to. I also have to ask our teacher exactly again what in this general term what this clung to means, like by craving, or again with has to do with karma or not. Anyway, so in general terms, this upadina can refer to all kinds of animated matter, and anupadina can refer to anything that is not animated. Okay.
My dear family, thank you for your patience. This class, we knew it and we were discussing before, is like a little plateau because it's just classification of things. Let's be patient, put a little bit we're going through, and then later we will start seeing the functioning of all these things.
The more interesting thing is coming.
Yeah, more interesting. Today we knew it's a kind of classification this, classification that. Later on we will see how this is used. Then it becomes like, wow, how it interacts.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. Now, okay, so among these 28 matters, there are a few kinds also that the Buddha singled out.
Should we take a little one?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, do you want to take a
Let's take, how do you feel, 2-minute break? We refresh ourselves, we take 2 minutes, and then we continue. We will finish today. No?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so...
Todos listos, pasajeros al tren. Se va y se corre. Okay. Ready? We continue.
Okay, so we were saying that among the 28 kind of matters, the Buddha singled out a few of them also because they have a special function, or it is different from other in some ways. So we will look at just only a few ones very quickly, actually, and easy to understand. So rupa, visible matter, is called sanidasana. So it is visible. All the other ones are called anidasana, non-visible. So it is important here. So whenever, whatever we see, whatever can be seen is actually only this quality, this rupa. It's the only rupa that is that we can see. Of course, rupa, any kind of rupa is made of a combination of different kinds of rupas. Now, surely earth element, water element, fire element, and wind element for great elements should be there, and also other combinations should be there. Now, just after this classification, we'll go to look at that. But whatever the eye can perceive, it's only the visible matter. Only that. Only
Yes.
that. Whatever we can see.
So, my dear family, I want to introduce to one technique that the Buddha used for teaching. One pedagogic technique that he used, and was the negation. For example, if I want to explain you this object, I can tell you this is a cup, and that will be the way that we generally learn something. This is a cup, and we just keep that. But there is another way. If we want to go to more detail, I can tell you this is not a broom. This is not a house. This is not a star. This is not a car. You see what I mean? Very often, and you will see in some of the teachings of the Buddha, he do not just tell us what it is, but he also tell us what it is not. And very often, some of the deepest concepts in his teaching are more easily understood, but what they are not, because we just keep the options are less and less and less, knowing what this is not. It is a little bit longer, but the Buddha, you will see in the Dhamma Sangani, he explained what a thing is and what a thing it is not. And it is really amazing. It is a little bit longer, that style, but it keeps things really out of the question. And as I said, for example, the concept of Nibbana is something so difficult to grasp for our minds that very often it is easier to say what Nibbana it is not. Nibbana is no mind. Nibbana is no rupa. Nibbana is not matter. Nibbana is not condition. Then we start getting a sense for what it is not. Because if we try to explain Nibbana is the uncreated, what is the uncreated? So in this style, you will feel it. And I think it's it feels a little bit old in some way, because we are used to everything fast, everything quickly. Tell me what it is immediately, and that's it. But we lose a lot. Remember that 2,600 years ago, people might have more time and less distractions than us right now. But we should, I will open the invitation to reopen this way of learning, because actually it goes really, really deep, considering what a thing is and what a thing is not. And you will see that that is a pattern of the Buddha when teaching.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's continue here. And here is interesting also, because whatever we see, don't you think it's like marvelous or something like amazing? Right now, whatever we can see anywhere, it's only nothing but this rupa.
Only one kind of rupa. Objects, many, but only one
Nothing
kind of
but
rupa
this.
is entering the eyes right now.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Amazing, no?
Like so many things, everything, but everything, whatever we can see, only this, nothing else.
Visible object. Right now it is happening in ourselves. Vision is happening right now. We are alive, and this mind can see through the eyes right now. Perceiving and processing the information, the visual information, which is just light, shape, and movement, color, and it is being processed by the mind, and the mind is doing something with it.
Yeah, so very interestingly, how many things it's a concept, no? Because actually, what is actually happening is only this visible object get in contact with the chakupasada, the eye sensitivity, and all those concepts created by the mind.
Mm.
It's only two material properties get in contact, mind, eye consciousness arises, and all the processes we have learned already happens.
Like or dislike, etc., etc.
Okay, so rupa, visible matter, is important. So this is the only thing that can be seen, can be perceived by the eye. Then again, within these five sensitive matter, we've seen that it is important, but they also within that within them, among them, also there is a classification. This eye and ear is called asampata, not reaching, and the other ones are called sampata, reaching its object. So asampata meaning like eye, when we see something, like now I'm looking in the computer does not actually come to my eye. It does not actually touch the chaku pasada, no? But it is, we can say that the light reflection or whatever, but anyway, the object does not really come to here. And the
does
sound,
not really crash.
And the sound that is maybe happening far away, okay, sound wave is coming, but it is considered, it is said that it is not touching, because for the nose and for the tongue and for the body to feel something, that we must touch it, no? Touch with the object itself, or we must smell it, or we must taste it, put it here. So it is really directly, very closely touched.
To smell and to taste, we actually get the particles of the thing we're smelling. They're particles, physical things that are touching and making a biochemical reaction that is then translated onto electricity that hence goes to the brain, and then the mind makes the sense of it. And also the taste is really particles that are coming into contact. And of course, the body is really touching. The other ones, between the touch of the senses, eyes and ears are kind of telepathic. We have the thing in front, the eyes touch it, but it's not really, really touching, as a smell, as a taste, and as the tangibility of the body.
Okay, so
clear. Here, this one clear, no? Nice.
Yes. So asampata and sampata. Okay. Then, okay, this again, this 5 pasada rupa, it is important because they are also called gochara, gahika.
Gahika. Gochara, gahika.
Yeah, just gochara, gahika, because they received object, and the other ones are called agochara, gahika. They do not receive objects. So only among matters, only these 5 senses, they receive objects, or the other ones they don't. Okay, then okay, we are coming to Awiniboga and Winiboga, inseparable and separable. And so here we will see that the smallest unit of matter. So something that is always together, because those rupa, they do not arise alone. We have seen the 28 kind of rupas, but they do not arise alone, just like mine, no? So they arise in a group. So some of them are always together, and some of them are not always together. Sometimes they are there, sometimes they are not there. Just like when we study the mind, we see there are universal cetasikas always there with the chitta, and there are occasional cetasikas, sometimes there, sometimes not, depending on what kind of mind. So here also depending on what kind of matter, matter are also in this way. So there are 8 of them that are always together, which is called Winiboga, inseparable. Although they are different matter, but they are always together. And then,
when they appear, every time are they universal.
Yeah. Always. Then boga means separate, then not always together. Sometimes they can join, and sometimes they don't. Okay. Okay. So just like when we see the mind, then we have the chitta always together with the universal cetasikas, and then some occasional, sometimes there, sometimes not, in the same way. Okay, now, so let's see, which are the inseparables. So Awiniboga inseparables are actually 8 material properties, or 8 matter joining together, and this is the smallest unit of matter. The smallest unit of matter is combined, or is made up of 8 material properties, 8 of the ones that we have seen. So surely the 4 Mahabhutas are there because they have the function to support the whole thing, support the whole kalapa. They have the water element, they hold them together. Then fire element, they maintained it. And then the wind element distended. So these 4 Mahabhuta is in every kind of matter. So they are part of the Awiniboga, always there all the time. And there are another 4 which are always there. So they are color, smell, and taste. So any kind of material matter, any kind of matter, the smallest unit is always with the visibility.
It can be seen.
It can be seen.
It can be smelled,
or it can be tasted.
Can be tasted.
So this, it has color, smell, and taste together with the 4 Mahabhuta, as well as nutriment. just as what we said right now, whatever there is always some kind of nutriment in whatever kind of matter. So
as we know, for example, the food has different degrees. For example, for pandas, they eat bamboo. It has very little nutriment in it. That's why they need to eat so much the whole day. They're eating and eating and eating because they need to fill up their nutrition with a big quantity. So even the rock minerals, as we know, they have some kind of nutritive properties. For obviously some good for some kind of organisms, different, but every single matter will have this nutritive essence that can sustain another being or something.
Yeah. Anyway, so these 8 material properties together are called the 8 inseparables, Abhidhamma. So this forms a basic matter. Whatever we see, this and this, and what else?
And these.
No, these are a little bit different. These and these also are made up of these 8 kinds of material property, the combination of these 8, and many of them, no? That's why you can see it so big and something. So in here, it has a lot of all these 8 material properties. We call it Abhidhamma or Kalapas, the smallest one. So it's made up of all these kind of things. Okay, so these ones universals always arise together. So we have made like 2 kind of presentation here. So to make it more clear, the idea here, we separated them because they are different kind of matters actually. So you can see that it seems like they are separated, but we need to understand they are always together. So it's only one in the sense.
Yeah, we were discussing how to put the, Charana was asking, how to put the matter, should we put them together to understand? And we say, okay, in order to make like, they are separated, but together.
They're different. They have their own characteristics, but they are
together
one.
In a one. They are a single thing.
Together.
It's not that it is as we see in the picture that there are 8 things together. It is the single thing has these 8 characteristics. It's actually 8 matters. This matter is, this 8 is becoming one thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. So we need to understand that this 8 is one, no? It's a whole. So I think like this, we can be more clear with the 2 presentations. So we put it like that. Actually,
the more accurate, easier to understand is this one, but the most accurate it is the other one.
Yes. Okay. So these ones are also called Sudataka, pure optic, not mixed in the sense pure in the sense that it is not mixed with other things. Not that it is like pure, like a
beautiful or
purified
spiritual
or
pure. It's just matter.
Like science terms, no, pure, not mixing with other things. So these ones are called Suda Ataka. So Suda is pure, Ataka is 8. So octet is 8, no? Of 18, no?
Octavo. ¿Cómo diríamos?
Of 18.
A group of 8 things.
A group of 8, yes. Pure, the pure group of 8, no?
Pure group of 8.
Also, it has another term, then you may also find this in some places. It's called Oja Tamaka. So a group with nutritive essence as the 8th. So these 7 of them, plus
one nutriment
as the 8th of it. So this is like this is more like an Indian way of speaking, no? Like they put the last element to conclude the group. So this group with this one as the last one. So nothing more than this, okay? So this is also Oja means nutriment. So Oja Tamaka, a group with nutritive essence as the 8th. So this is the basic matter. Okay, now, sometimes there are some occasionals as well. So let's say Jivita Rupa. So for humans, there are Jivita Rupas. So there are, because there is life faculty, it is alive.
Yeah. In a rock, there is no Jivita because it's not a living being.
Yes,
it's just matter.
For this, there is no Jivita, only the 8. So for human, some of our material properties are with Jivita. Some are not, like hairs are not, and nails are not. So not everything that is within a human is like that. So so with Jivita here is an So it is a separable in the sense that it is not always there. So it depends on what kind of matter it is. So you understand now. So in this presentation, we put it like this, but then it actually we should understand it like this when they are together. So they are actually together.
We just use graphical ways like to give the sense of occasional, sometimes turning around, sometimes can be inside or not in the core, but it will be a single one, different kind.
Single one. So here it looks like there are space, but there is no space now actually. So we have to understand it is like that.
I hope it is clear.
Yeah, but yeah, is that okay? Is that, yeah.
Which one do you prefer? You prefer the one with the things turning or which one is more clear? Let's make a vote. Which one do you feel better for understanding? Both? Caro says both. Andreita says one. Also Edward says only one. Okay, this one. They say that one. Fair, which one you like? That you work with this, which one you think is more useful?
I guess the one that have everything grouped in the same blue background. Yeah.
Okay. We can go. Guillermo says the other one. So now we already exposed both, and but you know it is a unit.
Yes, Marifer has a question. Yes.
Doña Marifer.
Thank you. I just wanted to let it clear for me. This is a calapa. These 8 material things form a calapa, right?
Yes. This is the smallest one because for this one that is together with Jivita is also called a calapa. But this calapa has more material property.
Some occasional properties on it.
Yes. Okay. So yes. So the Awini Boga is the smallest calapa, and then the other calapas can be with more material properties. And for example, now we will see this one is called Jivita Nawaka Kalapa, vital non-net. Non-net means with 9 things.
9 elements, so, 9 element unit.
Jivita means life faculty. Nawaka in Pali is 9. Kalapa is the smallest unit. So 8 Awini Boga plus 1 Jivita. This is called the Jivita Nawaka Kalapa. Kalapa with Jivita as the 9th. No?
Kalapa with 9 elements that has as the 9th one Jivita.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Life faculty.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Okay, so in this case, I think the two, in this way, we will also understand it both. So at the moment, we'll keep it like that. And we can also see, like sometimes it can be with Jivita and with I faculty. Let's say Chaku Pasada, what we have always been saying, this Chaku Pasada is only this, but it does not arise alone. So whenever there is Chaku Pasada, there is always Jivita and always the 8 together with it, no, the Kalapa. So this Kalapa is called Chaku Dasaka Kalapa, the I decade. So 8 Awini Boga, 1 Jivita, and 1 Chaku Pasada, and then making this Kalapa with altogether 10 material properties, the I decade. Whenever Chaku Pasada I sensitivity arise, it always arises together with these other 9.
So inside the rise, the part that perceives light and movement will be one kind of this Kalapa. It has ability to perceive light. In the cornea, maybe will be all these kind of material units that can later on be the source for eye consciousness to arise.
Mm-hmm. So also with the ear, nose, and all other like gender matter and sound or hadaya watu, heart base and everything. So it can be understood in the same way. No? Okay, so later we will look more into this, but I just wanted to present how sometimes they are together, sometimes they are not together, which ones are always together and which ones are not always together, and what kind of kalapas are there. At the end of this chapter, we will look into all the kinds of kalapas that are available. Mm-hmm. Okay, so here the main point is that these 8 of them, 4 great elements plus color, smell, taste, and nutriment is called the inseparable Awini Boga.
Oh, a little bit slower the mouse because it arrives later.
Okay.
So
yeah, so Awini Boga, inseparable, And all these ones, in this case, is called Winiboga, separable ones. Okay, so yes, so until here we finished with the content of today, and next week we are going to look at the causes, the 4 causes of material properties, as we have seen: karma, mind, temperature, and nutriment, but more in details. How, what exactly, what kind of karma produce result, produce matter, and when, and all these things. So it will come.
Yes, next class, no?
Next class, yes.
Yes, my dear family. Questions, comments, what do we bring home? How is everybody? Anybody who wish to share, how are you?
Well, for me, it is very impressive to notice that things are not just a coincidence in my experience. It is an encounter with them. So that is very surprising, because it has a common doubt about causality of things that are not just happening because of fortune. It is the cause and effect, and the encounter of things are just provoked by your own actions now and before. That is very nice to have conscious and awareness of that.
Sadhu. Very nice, Don Guillermo, to point it out and to bring it, because it has big implications in the way we relate to the world. It has big implications. How we perceive the things.
Yes.
Big.
Exactly.
Understanding karma is extremely important in terms of our daily practice, because if we understand the karma, many kinds of defilements can be eliminated.
Yes.
For example, when we see somebody that has something better than us, then we say, why he has it, why I don't? Then we get envy, we get jealous, but we understand that it's his own action that brought him his own result. If you want it, you just do good, you just practice, you just do your good action, no? So, so this kind of idea of jealous, of like why he has, why I don't have it, is not fair, and like all this idea is actually there's no place to stand, because he has it not because he's lucky, he worked for it.
Either in this life or in previous life.
It's his own action.
That is the thing.
So this kind of ideas or wrong ideas that we might have can be eliminated.
This directly refers to a sense of responsibility, isn't it, Guillermo? It brings, so I'm responsible from this, actually, good or bad. Now, when we see somebody else, we're suffering more than us, we would try to help him as much as physical, but the best help we can give to that person is to inspire to do good for himself, so he gets better fruits in the future, either in this life or of another. The focus becomes much bigger, not just short term, in this life I will help him. Yes, we help him, and we should never stop giving food and supporting somebody else, but the best help we can give that person is to develop wisdom, so he can by himself, he will be his own architect for lives to come if he don't get enlightened. So the best thing we can do for a person is to inspire him or her to do good for themselves wisely. So the focus of the inner development is not just immediate to give food or to support somebody else, which is totally encouraged, but to the long run, we start understanding that this sense of responsibility and the taking into account the wisdom of the law of nature, cause and effect, as science proves it on, and karma exists. And that is generating in ourselves the highest sense of wisdom, which is the right view. You remember karma, to have karma as our view, it is the top of the wisdom that we can entertain. It is right to have the right view of the Noble Eightfold Path. So it has big, this is what you were mentioning, Guillermo, thank you so much. It has big implications in how we relate to the world and how we understand suffering and success. I mean, suffering and happiness. It has big implication in attitude. And our culture will be, as we are, it will be at some degree a shock, but I would say it will be very beneficial if we start making peace with nature at that level.
Precisely.
We are the owners of our karma, heirs to our karma, abide by our karma, and whatever we do for good or for ill, of that we will be the son or daughter, the heir,
so
el heredero.
this understanding is actually what is called with right view or without right view.
This is right view.
In the Chitas and in general terms. You remember that there are even the lower with wrong view or without wrong view. So without wrong view is with this understanding. With this understanding.
The best good that we can do is the good we can do to ourselves by our own actions. It's like another paradigm of thinking. Yes.
Okay, so yes, thank you. So can we go to Fernando?
Yes.
Well, first, it was an amazing class. Thank you very much. And I have one question about if the rupa that gives the quality of color, if it has some kind of property of being transparent or a quality of transparency or something like that. Is there something in the text about that? Like that, a quality that it varies the way you can see through something.
Get the point, but yes. I think I haven't heard, but very good question to ask the teachers. We will ask.
Do we consider transparency visible?
Well, there are some degrees because, for example, in a glass that is kind of
transparent,
like a like tinted glass, then light is kind of affected by that, but you can see through to a certain degree.
Yes.
So that was kind of my thinking of if there's something described about that rupa associated with color, if there is some quality of.
What about transparency? Very interesting. Very interesting.
We'll ask our teacher, but
I haven't heard until now.
What we have to understand about rupa, I mean the visible matter, is anything we see. So if it is transparent, little kind of,
we can see it. It has
so it is this rupa.
No, but I think
if we cannot see it totally, then it is not visible.
But I think the question Fer is going is the degrees of visibility, because you can see you can see a crystal, you can see a glass, but of course you can see it. That's why you can hold it. But it's transparent at the same time. So I think it's a little bit more detailed.
Yes, in this case, I will extend a little bit because visible. It's not only this physical eye of us. No, for example, every material property you see the Viniboga, this rupa visibility is in everything. So that means that there are things that this eye cannot see, but there are this rupa there. So for example, it can be seen by a machine, or it can see by a bat.
They are X-ray and infrared and ultraviolet rays.
They have better eyes, or I think the range is very big. So it's not only what our eye can see. Even for us human being, some people have better eye. They can see something. Some people cannot see so much, but that does not mean that material property is not there. It is always
in the electromagnetic spectrum. It is humongous, and we can see very little with our perception. That's why we use machines for mega rays and infra and everything.
My question...
the particles are there and can be seen by something else that is more sensitive. The question will be, in terms of human potentiality with this kind of eye, what we can see, what cannot. It will become very nice. Fair. I think it's a good avenue for exploring. We will ask our teachers to see if there is something in the scriptures describing that.
Yeah, and it was based on what you mentioned, the electromagnetic spectrum. So this rupa can be the property of, well, in science, the property of matter that can reflect light.
Can reflect light, yes, precisely.
So if we see that there is a degree of transparency, then we can make an analogy of the two descriptions, the Buddha description.
Yeah, even philosophically, there are some avenues. We discuss next class. We discuss next class. Good, good.
Yes,
Thank you.
Can the matter of arahants be transparent then? If there is nothing to reflect the negativity, whoa, something we can. I'm just talking about philosophically, Charana. This is just poetry. This is what I'm saying. A big avenue just open. You will see. You will see. It can be developed. Good, don't fair.
Sorry.
Charana gets afraid with poetry.
Because we're talking about reality now.
Very good, very good.
Concerning another point that Fernando asked last week, I wanted to add something because later on I think about it, and where you asked it when the Arahant experienced Nibbana, why he does not become transparent, like that. So we explained that the matter of the Arahant himself, but
matter.
actually what I missed it saying is that Nibbana itself, it is not mind and not matter, but it is an object. So it is an object to be experienced by the mind. So Nibbana itself, this object is not neither mind nor matter, but it does not mean that there is the mind that perceives it is still the mind, and the body of that person with the mind, let's say, that is still the body of that person. So the transparency or the disappearance does not actually have to do with the Nibbana, no matter no mind, does not have actually does not apply to the person, because it is the object of the mind itself. The object itself is like that, but not that the person, when he experiences Nibbana, he becomes no mind, no matter, not like that.
The mind itself is taking
no
Nibbana.
Mind, no
Nibbana is an object that the mind can take.
Yeah, it's like if we take like anger. Well, that's not a good example. Let's say meta for an object. And the mind is taking meta constantly, but everything keeps going.
Yes,
exactly.
Same way. The mind is just taking an object, and the mind can even take the object of Nibbana. That becomes that's a really shocking. Sometimes I have years thinking about that and no satisfactory answer yet. And I suppose it will only be if we experience it.
So
only experiencing, we will know. That's why the teacher says when we get enlightened, the one who gets enlightened first, please let us know how the experience of the object is. I'm very curious about that.
Yes. So the object, the characteristic of that Nibbana object is no mind, no matter, but the mind and the matter
is happening.
Is happening. So just like metta has its own characteristic of loving kindness, of all these things. So its characteristic is that, but the mind and matter is the mind and matter.
Good, my dear family. We have another class. So somebody else raise a hand. Edward, did you raise a hand or just move at some point? No. Good. Everybody okay, my dears? Everybody okay? Well, be safe, take care, and we see you next week. Okay.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you for the help.
Stay well. Bye-bye. We love you. Gambare, gambare. We continue with the exploration, and may all this information fall into good ground and it become goodness and wholesomeness in our mind, inspiration, responsibility, and care and service for others. May all our family and all the beings be well. May this wisdom provided by the Buddha be very fruitful in our lives and those around us. Thank you very much. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Be well. We love you. Bye-bye. See you soon.